3. By dangerous, they only mean explicitly stating that burning your teeth with hot glue is somehow beneficial. This is flat out wrong. Not adding important context to a video depicting something you clearly shouldn't do is demonstrably dangerous. Hey guys, so this will be a bit different. Today, I'm talking about a problem with YouTube. Something important that they should be doing that they seem to be willfully ignoring. And let's just say it should be good, because it involves their policy rules, aka their guidelines. Specifically, I'll be focusing on 3 of them: no repetitive content, no misleading metadata, and no harmful or dangerous content. Firstly, they try not to allow you to post the same video again and again. If you try to post the same file as 2 videos, YouTube tells you it's the same and doesn't allow you to publish it. However, this isn't really something you can't get around by slightly altering the video or something each time, but they still don't want you doing this, and it's obviously easy to notice. That doesn't mean you should never reiterate small parts of your previous content though, especially if it's relevant. However, because that's possible, some channels can take advantage of it and totally exploit it by creating a library of content and then make so-called unique videos by randomly picking and compiling from that, uploading them, and doing that more frequently than they're actually creating new content by a long shot. This way, they rarely need to come up with new clips to add to this library, and it's actually not clear how much content they actually create in the actual sense of what creation means. What we do know is how much video length they upload to YouTube, at least vaguely, and what that means for them as channels. To be clear, there are a lot of channels that do this shit, as quite frustrating as that is. But today, I'll be talking about a channel called 5 Minute Crafts, which you'd be much more likely to know about. This channel is especially problematic, because it's among the most popular few channels on YouTube, so YouTube very likely has noticed that they violated 3 of their rules, so they well over should know now to remove it. More on this later. According to Social Blade, it's 7th most subscribed on YouTube overall. Also, 4 of these things ahead of them are things I don't know why are listed here, because their views aren't. That's because they're special service channels run by YouTube, like YouTube Music, Gaming, Sports, and even Movies. They're a special lock channel that you can pay to access movies from. So no wonder they're popular. If we don't count them, guess where it stands? 3. Also, there's this grade stem, and I don't know if this is Social Blade or YouTube, but it says A+ for 5 Minute Crafts. Although apparently A++ is a thing. Makes sense, only because they're so high up there, which the reason for is that YouTube has obviously let it get to this stage. In fact, they let them get a 50 million subscriber award, and the reason for that? I know not. Because 5 Minute Crafts is, again, violating YouTube's rules. So let's move on. Many of their videos have these thumbnails that mostly don't have anything to do with the craft they show, and only serve to get people to click on the videos. Because the thumbnail is the most important thing for getting those views, thereby, if you didn't know, those dollars. Side note, this is one of the rules I first brought up. Metadata is the title, description, taglines, settings, and most importantly, the thumbnail of the video. And these thumbnails are misleading because of how they sort of sell this idea to some people's minds that the video is largely comprised of striking stuff like the art they're seeing in that picture. And how do you get clicks? By appealing people to watch your content. Even if it's quite bland itself, that helps them get views. Every video has a preview image, even by default, where they randomly select 3 parts of the video that you can choose to use. However, to get clicks, you really need to make it curious enough for people to click it. And to do this, it actually needs not to be relevant or even to be appealing, but striking or even just interesting. So it can even be something very laughable, like correcting a disgusting looking fried egg or something, brushing your lips with charcoal glossy petrol stuff to make them look Photoshop black. And there's a common theme here of erasers, like erasing hairy legs and cracked phone screens. Like, you tell me that's plausible in real life. And some pairs of these thumbnails have the same elements in them and are just barely different. Like turning blue cheese into Swiss cheese, reversing the mold growth on blue cheese. What? Before and after here is out of order, it seems. Like, If anything, I mean, the blue cheese doesn't have any holes. Like, you can tell it's irrelevant because it's not even remotely real. Like, it's so obviously fake. And this one with the exact same images, just swapped. And day 1 and day 14, whatever that means. This shotgun approach where these channels just turn out these slightly altered iterations of things just to fill up their channel and do better than any good channels, sucking them dry of their ability to make money they might need to create content, seems to be turning into a whole thing. And many of them feature vibrantly ugly, unattainable backgrounds that look like a f***ing Clorox ad, which much of their content looks like as well. And if you really haven't already noticed by now, jarring all caps titles. And my absolute favorite, an hour-long video on kitchen hacks whose thumbnail has everything to do with kitchens. Everything! But enough about this thumbnail stuff. Their featured channels here all look similar, and the avatars of them are light bulbs. I wonder why they would do that. That's weird. Oh, I have an idea. It's made to evoke a light bulb going off in your head. But what idea? Except the one I had just now? Well, maybe the idea is supposed to be some of their hacks that are amazing, and maybe too much so to be true? Like poking a hole in the heat-trapping lid of a coffee cup
for faster cooling.
You know what's even faster cooling? Taking off the top.
and pretending everyone can break an apple. And let's face it, what the hell does the name 5-Minute Crafts mean? Like, does poking a hole in a lid take 5 minutes? Or 15 seconds? And they have stuff like putting activated carbon in Coke and waiting 4 days for it to become clear.
Wow, it's been discolored!
And in a video called 30 Hacks to Make Your Life Easier. So that should give you a good idea of just how irrelevant the titles are as well. And they have all these 5-Minute Crafts side channels targeted towards different demographics. While, as you may have guessed, they basically just publish videos using the exact same procedures. So you can see just how repetitive their videos are. They're the largest part of this media company called The Soul Publishing, which also owns a channel called Brightside. And some of 5-Minute Crafts videos have videos in them by Brightside, which, as you may have guessed, isn't much better. Their videos always have voiceovers that the scripts for seem to be designed to be repetitive and extend the video length.
Which line is longer?
And there's lots of these pauses to gain even more of this meaningless watch time.
Of course, line A is longer. That's so obvious, right? Well, not for everybody, or rather, not always. 5 people were asked which of 2 lines was longer. The answer was always simple, but 4 of the tested people were asked to lie. So the subject didn't want to stand out and gave the wrong answer. The same phenomenon can be illustrated with jokes. If you're in a group of people and somebody tells a joke that everybody finds funny, you will laugh too, even if you don't get it or don't think it's funny. Liars.
And going back to 5-Minute Crafts, while there is some things that work, although almost no one actually tries them because it's so quick, the overall intent of the channel is not good, as we'll soon see. Some of their life hacks and experiments are utterly disgusting and dangerous as well, like brushing your teeth with hot glue, molten hot plastic. Seriously, why? And putting strawberries in bleach to remove the color, without any context as to how poisonous bleach is, meaning young impressionable people who are just as smart as they are might end up eating the bleached strawberries, poisoning them, because we don't get enough of impressionable people being taken for joyrides. This is harmful content, and YouTube doesn't say they allow harmful content. Possibly the worst part is that it might look sort of new age to people, so their minds might just run over these issues because it blends in with the genre of the channel and such. Here are my 9 steps to create a YouTube channel that prints money. 1. Start by filming any hacks and crafts ideas you have, caring only if it looks as though it can be replicated by viewers, or look kind of like a good hack they might want to try. It won't matter if it doesn't work, is dangerous, or if it's an unnecessarily complex solution to some implied problem that no one has. Just film it. Also, do this against a strikingly clean background and or a plain vibrant tablecloth or painted wall. This will add meaningless appeal to the video as people watch it. It'll get more people to watch to the end, and that's the goal, right? 2. Edit and shorten each idea into a 15 to 30 second video. Be sure to provide as little context as you can. Some you can do away with it altogether, although preferably add important warnings to the otherwise potentially dangerous ones, or you kind of risk getting terminated. But YouTube is kind of flexible when it comes to people only potentially ingesting poisons, so it's probably okay. After all, you can, so you should. The less work and the lazier it is, the better. 3. Write a program to edit random pics of these clips and create categories to assign to them. If you were a good channel, you wouldn't need to procedurally montage videos. But remember, that's not your goal. 4. Create a library to fill with these videos, and assign any categories to each clip that they can fit into. Make sure you update this periodically as you add more categories. 5. In the program, group the categories into broader subjects, and create a title generator to generate video titles based on the subject and framework parameters. 6. Make it select one category group to make the video and title off of, and then have it select categories from it to randomly compile a certain number of videos that fit into them, whether that be random, multiple of 5, 10, 3, within a range, etc. Make sure it's a couple or few minutes, and make it use the title generator for intro screens that name these portions, and overlay it with the font from a library of fonts you're using for the channel, against a color or gradient background of some sort. And make it select from stock music sources based on the category by creating mood names to assign to the categories. 7. Generate a couple or few of those into your video. This creates a pattern that looks unique and not just randomly generated crap. This is for a reason, of course, this being that it's royal generated crap. 8. Auto-publish a couple to a few of those a day, and preferably to one of those multi-channel networks as well. You'll obviously beat the rate of any good channel because you can literally follow a consistent schedule as well, gaining much of their deserved money and sucking them dry, unless they sacrifice their will or even their talent to follow along. You want money, so who cares? 9. Hire some Photoshop artist to mock up striking, weird, implausible thumbnails. Note that you do want to spend more work here, because this drives how the channel looks on the surface, and it's largely how to get clicks. And make sure to have him accept an NDA, because you don't want him telling it to others who would then go against it, jeopardizing your job, which his job is dependent on, which he'll care about, so also tell him that. Well, there you have it, a royal dumpster with a tap. Now go and generate $1 billion to get he who must not be named impeached. Except this won't benefit you, so it's somehow out of the question. All the things we've seen so far with him clearly illustrate this, which turns off my sarcasm and brings me to my next point. YouTube seems to have knowingly allowed this to go on. It's obviously been a huge channel for quite some time. It got 3 awards in 2017 and the Ruby Award this year, likely because not only do channels on YouTube get revenue from advertisements, YouTube also gets a cut of it, because that's how they make money, or in layman's terms, YouTube gets the equivalent money of roughly all the views of every single channel on their platform. So 5-Minute Crafts, by robbing away all this instant attention by using all these striking, irrelevant thumbnails, and of course monetizing their videos, is therefore something they want to keep allowing on their channel, even though it's third subbed on YouTube, surely popular enough for them to know that it's content farming, or posting all this repetitive content, which is against the rules, attaching striking, misleading, irrelevant thumbnails against the rules, and encouraging people to put strawberries in bleach without any context other than color removed, and not saying it's a science experiment, or that the strawberry becomes poisonous so they might end up eating the strawberry, poisoning themselves, which is also against the rules. They clearly don't seem to care about even the fact that this huge channel is violating their own rules. Unless, 1. By repetitive, they only mean 2 videos on one account that are literally exactly the same. This isn't the only way a video can be duplicative. Posting random 15-minute compilations of 3-minute compilations of 15-second clips of mostly useless shotgunned out repetitive hacks for only financial purposes is so nefarious. It does not matter if only the arrangement of these randomly selected videos are unique. 2. By misleading, they only mean being misleading in a certain way, like having a different enough style, being vibrant and striking when the rest of the video looks significantly more dull or something. Again, misleading means the focal element is not featured or talked about in the video. Period. 3. By dangerous, they only mean explicitly stating that burning your teeth with hot glue is somehow beneficial. This is flat out wrong. Not adding important context to a video depicting something you clearly shouldn't do is demonstrably dangerous. People in positions of power seem to be naturally hardwired to ignore problems with others in positions of power, if those others are doing things that benefit them. It's kind of like how people who are responsible for impeaching our president if he breaks the law, which he has, are not taking that important action in the face of his crimes. Obviously this is a much bigger issue, but ultimately it's the same sort of ignorance driven by profit motive. Because the ones with those responsibilities are better off than most people in an already inequitable world where the richest 2 people own nearly as much wealth as the poorest 50% of people in this world. 2 years ago, 8 people had what was that amount of wealth at the time, so it's only getting worse than it already is. And not impeaching a corrupt billionaire makes the rich richer, which includes the people with these responsibilities, which that's their motive, and then more than half the world is taking all this deprivation like Trump's denial of foreign aid and suffering in numerous ways, suffer even more. So many people cannot even meet their basic fundamental needs, let alone properly nourish themselves. Why is this a privilege in the hands of only a few people? It should be a basic human right. This is so negligent. What can be done about it now? Will nothing ever be done because more profit for the rich over the vast majority of people's ability to live here and not have to be afraid that they might become homeless one day because of how wide the wealth gap is? Sustainability long term? How much worse will this get? It's so upsetting. I just don't know what else you can say about this. To end on something positive, let's make the world we live on a better place. Do not vote for Trump. Please, people. No matter what dog whistle he blows out or some stupid claim he makes, he will not play it fair. We can't continue living like this. 2020. Please be a good year. Please bring us some form of a different leader. For human rights, the climate, the planet, equity, sustainability, our long-term life on this earth, and the high-speed rail's sake. And getting back to YouTube, I'll make sure to provide references below. And to let YouTube know this isn't okay, I'll provide the channel URL for 5 Minute Craft just so you can copy it to YouTube's safety and abuse reporting tool, which I'll also link, as well as the issue. And also a comment that you can copy over to the additional notes. Share this video with others, tell YouTube to get rid of this stuff, and listen, it will take influence. Unfortunately, people in powerful positions are not motivated to take these actions. It's wrong for us to have to be the ones to do this when it's not our fault there's operations like this bloating the system and rotting people's brains with all this crazy wrong info, but this is what we should do if there just seems to be no other way. There's also a couple things you could do to help this video to show up in more people's sidebars, such as liking this video, and maybe subscribing if you want, since I have made quite a few cooler videos than this. And if you don't want to subscribe now, you can also check out my channel. And this is getting quite a bit longer than usual, so as always, thanks for watching.